Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today's topic is going to be on the introduction to verbs and usage of the helping verbs such as is, am, are, was, and were. So let's get straight into the video. What are verbs? We might have heard people telling that verbs are action words, words that are used to describe any action. Okay, so those are your verbs. For example, run, eat, write, which means you are doing something. You are running. You are eating, which is an action. You are writing, it is an action. And also the state, okay, the state in which the action is taken place. For example, is, am, are, was, were. These are all your helping verbs or events that are happening. Any occurrence is also used describing a verb. So there are majorly three types of verbs. One is your action verbs, which we just saw, example your run, eat, write, and linking verbs, which we would be seeing in the further slides, and also helping verbs, which are some of them are your is, am, are, was, were, which will be focused on today's class on how it is going to be used. So action verbs, any kind of action or any kind of doing. It could be physical or it could be mental by the subject is called an action verb. What is the subject? The doer. Whoever is doing any action is your subject, right? So the action itself is called your verb. So, some examples for your physical action are the boy runs every morning. You'll have to move your legs in order to run, which is a physical action. You have to move your hands in order to write, which is again a physical action. So, the second example is she writes in her journal every day. Writes. So, write is a verb, is an action verb to be precise. Second is your mental action, which means you're not physically doing it, you're not moving your hands or legs, but you are doing it mentally, and those actions are called as mental action verbs. Okay, they do come under action verbs, just to be um, more precise. We are using the word mental action over here. For example, I believe in hard work. Believing in something is a mental action, right? Thinking is a mental action. You're not physically doing anything, your brain is doing the work. So it is also a mental action. So the second example is they think deeply about the problem. Here, think is an action verb, and that action is carried out mentally. Okay. So a small tip to remember action verb is if you are doing it, so if you are running, so you are the person who is moving your legs, that is an action verb. If you are praying, okay, you are mentally praying, right? And you are doing that uh, job or doing that action, then it is an action verb. Hope that's clear. Secondly, let's move to linking verb. These verbs don't show action. Instead, they connect the subject to additional information about it. So, what do you mean by additional information? Let's look at the example. He is a good athlete. Is a linking verb. We are talking about a person. Okay, we are talking about a person, and we are connecting that person to an information which is he's an athlete. He being an athlete is an information to us, right? So he is a good athlete, and is your linking verb here. since you cannot uh, implement any kind of action verb over here, we need a linking verb to connect the good athlete with that person. And that is what is doing over here. Not only is, am, are, was, were, seen, become, appear. All these are common linking verbs. So, second example, the flowers are beautiful. Again, over here, the flowers are your subject, and we are telling that the flower is beautiful. The flowers beautiful. Does that make sense? No. It should be connected, right? It should be linked because there is no verb in this sentence, and a sentence will not be complete without a verb, right? There must be an action. So, in order to fulfill that condition, we are using are. Why are we using are and why not a is or why not a was or why not a were? That we'll be learning about in the further slides. But for now, just know that the flowers are beautiful. Are is a helping verb. They were excited about the trip. They were excited. Excited, being excited is an emotion, right? And it cannot stand alone. They excited. Does that make sense? They excited. Excited is an emotion, and emotion are supposed to be paired with a linking verb. Okay, and that is what were is doing here by being a linking verb between they and excited. Okay, so they were excited about the trip. Excited is again a verb. It shows the state as we saw in the previous slide. Verbs are also used to denote a state, right? So excited is a state over here, but that cannot exist alone. And that is why we need were in the sentence to link the subject and the verb excited, the state. Next is your helping verbs. So it is commonly referred as auxiliary or helping verbs. These are the verbs that are used to assist the main verb. And how does it assist? Firstly, by adding tense. What are tenses? The present, the past, future basically shows when the action is happening, right? Is it happening in the past? Is it happening in the present? Is it going to happen in the future? Or was it happening in the past? Okay, that is what tenses do, and these verbs help assisting the main verb in changing the tense of a sentence. It also shows mood or voice. So let's jump into the examples. She is running fast. Here the main verb is run, right? It is an action verb. That is your main verb over here. And is there as a helping verb which is setting the tense of a sentence. She is running fast, which is your present continuous, which means this action is still happening. She is still running fast. That person is running right now. Okay, that is what the sentence means, which means the action is happening right now. Okay, second, we were watching a movie. We were watching, I'm sorry for the background noise. So we just got another example. My dog is barking, which means the action was happening, right? I mean, is happening. Now I hope the audio is clear. So my dog was barking, which means it was barking in the past and now it's not barking anymore, right? That was your live example. So we were watching a movie, which means we are not watching the movie right now. The action was taking place in the past. Okay, so watch is your main verb, and we were doing it, which sets the tense of the sentence. Again, they have completed their homework, which means the action is complete, the action is done. It is done just right now. Okay, it might have been completed a few minutes ago, a few seconds ago, but it is done. Which is again setting a tense for the sentence, which is your present perfect tense. Please do let us know if you want, uh, if you want classes on all 12 forms. I mean, all 12 tenses. We'll be happy to do it for you. So, the common helping verbs is, am, are, was, were. Wait a minute. We saw these in the linking verbs also, right? Yes. These are also used in linking. Uh, these are all also commonly used linking verbs and also helping verbs. Okay, it is used in linking verbs, it is used to connect the subject to the information, and in helping verbs, it is used to set the tense, mood, or voice. And also, additional helping verbs we have over here are has, have, had, do, does, did, will, shall, can, could. Now, what is present tense? These are all, uh, I mean, the statements that are usually a routine, usually a part of your routine, or the facts which remains constant and they are unchanged. As a matter of fact, if you are talking about your routine, which means it is a constant thing, right? So these kind of uh, statements are written in a tense called present tense. Okay, let's just look at it with an example. He is my friend. You are introducing a person, and you are telling that that person is your friend, which means he is still your friend, right? That is not going to change for a while. It's going to be a constant. Yeah, it might change in the future, but for now, it is not going to change. It's a constant one, right? So, in these cases, we use present tense. And the helping verbs or your linking verbs that denote a present tense are your is, am, and are. Okay, the use case scenarios would be is used for singular subjects. Who are your singular subjects? You're talking about one person, you're talking about one thing, you're talking about one place, you're talking about one animal. These are all your singular subjects. Okay, and I hope you had checked out our last session on pronouns and the usage of he, she, I mean, the usage of do and does, right? Please, if not, please do check that out. We have explained about pronouns. So he, she, it are pronouns again, right? These are all singular subjects. We are talking only about one person. Okay. In that case scenario, and you want the statement to be in a present tense because it is not going to change, it is your routine or something, it is what you are doing currently, Then is used for singular subjects. He is my friend. And if you are talking about yourself, which is I, if the subject is I, then you are supposed to use am. Am is totally reserved for I. Okay, so if you're talking about yourself, you may be telling that I'm a good singer. I teach English in Blossom English Academy. Okay, in these, sorry, I teach English doesn't require a am over here, but I am a student. I am adding an information. Okay, I'm adding an extra information, and I need a linking word to complete the sentence. I, a student, because there is no certain verb in the sentence. In that case, I must use a verb, and that is why I'm using am. Okay, and if I want to express the state I am in right now, then again, then I'll be using am. For example, I am happy, or I am currently teaching you, right? Well, that is not a present. I mean, yeah, it is present, it's part of present tense. But since we saw a simple present in the first two examples, this would be a present continuous. But let me give you an example. I am teaching, which is something I'm doing right now, right? Okay. Yeah. The third example is are used with plural subjects. Okay, just remember one thing is am are used in your present tenses, and I is used for singular subject, am is used only for I. Okay, when you're talking about yourself, then you can use am, whereas are is used for your plural nouns. What are your plural? I mean, plural pronouns are we, they, you. We means you're talking about a group, including yourself. They, again, you're talking about a group. You is the person you are talking to. You can tell me that if I'm talking to only one person, does that make it as a singular noun? No. In English, you is considered as a plural subject. Okay, you are talking to that person, it is your second person. Even if it is one person, or if you are addressing two person, it would come under plural subject. Okay, so you are supposed to use are over here. And plural nouns. Okay, for example, the flowers, the beaches, the sunsets. I'm not talking about one flower, one beach, or one sunset. If I'm talking about one, then it would be considered as a singular noun. And if I'm talking about many, then it would be considered as plural noun. An example of that is they are playing. You are looking at a group of children, maybe, and you observe them playing football. And how do you construct a sentence? You would say they are playing, or they are playing football. Okay, they are currently doing it, right? So again, that's an example for a present continuous sentence. Let's not confuse that. We'll talk about tenses in a different class. Second, past tense. Okay, we just saw present tense, and in present tense, the helping verbs used were is, am, are. And in past tense, we have only two. Okay, in present tense, am was reserved for I, but in past tense, there are only two words, two helping verbs, which are your was and were. You don't have a specially reserved word for I, for the subject I in the past tense. It would come under singular noun only. Okay. So if you see the example, was is used with singular subjects. Talking about I'm talking about one person over here, right? So it is also considered as singular subject, and the verb used for I would be was. including he, she, it, and other singular nouns. For example, she was at the park. Okay, she was at the park. And if I'm talking about I was sleepy. Okay, which means I was taking a nap in the past and I'm not doing that anymore. That is your past tense, right? The action that happened in the past and it is not continuing in the present. She is at the park means she is still at the park, and she was at the park means she was there in the past and now she's not there anymore. Okay, to describe that, to describe the state she was in, or to describe the place she was in, we are using was. And if the subject is plural, then the same was would be replaced with were. Okay, so who are your plural subjects? We, they, you, and other plural nouns. Again, you is considered the plural noun. I gave you an example in the previous slide, you being considered as plural in English. So, yes, the example is they were happy. They are looking at the group and they're having a very good time in a restaurant, and we look at them and say, they, I mean, we go back home. If we are telling this, I mean, framing a sentence right there at the restaurant, then we would look at them and say, they are happy. But you go back home and you describe what you saw at the restaurant, and now the action has happened in the past, right? In that case scenario, when you go back home and you tell to your partner or someone that you saw a group of people in the restaurant and they were happy. Okay, because we don't know if that's still happening and you saw that in the past, so you use a were over here, over there. Mm, Another example would be you were shocked. Okay, again, shocked shows a state in which the person was, and the person is not in shock anymore, so it happened in the past. So, how would you uh, how would you frame the sentence? What kind of verb you would be using? It happened in the past, and you is your subject. If you is the subject and it's a plural, it comes under plural noun. And past tense means you have only two options: was, where. Since you is a plural subject, then you would be using the verb were. So you were shocked. Subject verb agreement. Okay. Match the verb with the subject correctly. It is a small activity. Well, the real activity has one more slide to go, hopefully. So, singular subject means singular verb. What are your singular verbs? Is, was, and there is one more verb, that is am, that is specially reserved for I. If the subject is plural, then you are supposed to use plural verbs. That is your are and were. Okay. So, an example, the cat is on the roof. You're talking about the cat and you are talking about where the cat is sitting. Okay. The cat is on the roof. You're talking about one cat, right? You're talking about one cat. Hence, the linking verb over here would be a singular verb since the subject is singular. So, what are the options we have? We have is and we have was. So, if the action, if the scenario is happening right now, then you'd be using a present verb, which is on the roof. If the action was in the past, then you would be using was on the roof. The cats are on the roof. Here you're talking about multiple cats. You're not talking about one single cat anymore. You're talking about multiple cats, and you are supposed to use plural verb over here. And that is why the cats are on the roof. Okay? I hope you understand the difference between using a singular verb, which is your is, and a plural verb, which is your are in these two sentences. I was there yesterday, which yesterday is obviously in the past. And here I am talking about one single person, which is me. So singular verb means singular subject and it is in the past, and hence we are using was. You were amazing. If a person says you are amazing, which means you are still amazing, you are amazing right now. And if you had just come after a game and someone calls you and tell you were amazing, which means you were amazing in the playground. Okay, it happened in the past, so were and you is considered as a plural subject, and hence we are using the linking verb were. So what are the common errors to avoid? First is using am instead of is or are. As I said earlier, am is specially reserved for the subject I. If you are talking about yourself, only then you're supposed to use I. I am a doctor. I am teaching. I am writing a novel. Okay. If you are talking about other singular subjects, which is your he, she, it, then you are supposed to use is. Okay. Hope that's clear. Mixing past and present forms. I see a lot of people doing this. I see a lot of people writing they are late yesterday. They are. Are is a present verb, right? We just saw in the previous slides. Are is am are present verbs. Was were is your past verbs. I mean it shows the past tenses. It is used to denote the past tenses. I've seen a lot of people telling they are late, which means they are late now. They are late for today's party, or they are late for the meeting, which means the action is still continuing, or the action is still affecting the present moment. They were late yesterday has nothing to do with the current scenario, right? Yesterday they were late, right? So in these scenarios, we must be sure that what is the sentence actually, why the sentence is actually framed. Is it to denote the past? Is it to denote the present moment? Or did the past affect the present that we have to write that sentence in a present tense? So yesterday means yesterday. It is a done day, and you are supposed to use the past tense over here. And a third common mistakes people do is using plural verbs with singular subjects. We had learned that we were supposed to use singular verbs for singular subjects and plural verbs for plural subjects. So here, she are coming is wrong. She is a singular subject, right? He, she, it, and I are your singular subjects. And you are supposed to use only singular verbs. What are your singular verbs? Is, was, if it is in the past. So she is coming, right? Which means the action is happening right now. That is it. We are done for today's class, and here is your activity for today. I've got 5 questions for you, and Yes, you do have the answers, but please don't look into the answers. Okay? Please don't look into the answers. Just hide it and please guess the answers, and then you may check if the answer is correct or wrong. And if you need any further explanations, please do reach out to us. And thank you so much for watching the video. Have a good day, everyone.